tested through non-conference play and are now ready to get underway in the conference opener as Miami controls the ball first. You can see the starters for the Redhawks there, including last year's all-third team MAC selection Nike Sibande. There's the first turnover of the game. Controls the ball first. You can see the starters for the Redhawks there, including last year's all-third team MAC selection Nike. Last year's all-third team MAC selection Nike Sibande. There's the first turnover of the game. And here comes Central Michigan. On the other end, you just saw Devontae Lane bring the ball at the floor with those starting five for Central Michigan, who did not play in their last game against Purdue, but makes it back out onto the court this afternoon.
And Riley, if you got a chance to watch that Purdue game, you could tell they missed Devontae Lane in the lineup.
For the game, and here comes Central Michigan. On the other end, you just saw Devontae Lane bring the ball at the floor with those starting five for Central Michigan, who didn't, as he just hit that first shot, putting Central Michigan up with their first lead of the game.
Dallas Morgan, as of late, has been struggling for Central Michigan. Last two games, he shot a combined 4 for 17. He's someone who usually is hot from three.
And out for Central Michigan this year, one of the more consistent players in this lineup. Grant in the corner, he pulls, and he's got it. David DeLeo right there. Corner, he pulls, and he's got it. David DeLeo right there, but it didn't phase him, and Day-Day Grant nails the two.
And that's often the type of offense Miami likes to go to, where it's not a lot of ball movement, really one-on-one basketball. They're not a team that moves it around a lot.
Strong rebound there by Montgomery and Lane.
Not a lot of ball movement, really one-on-one basketball. They're not a team that moves it around a lot.
Strong rebound there by Montgomery and Lane.
Not a lot of ball movement, really one-on-one basketball. They're not a team that moves it around a lot.
Strong rebound there by Montgomery and Lane. David DeLeo from outside. He's got it. He's been up and down this season. He's played well, especially at home. And these Chippewas haven't been inside McGuirk Arena since December 6th. A 4-game road streak for the Chippewas. And now finally getting back to home.
Nice to see DeLeo hit that one early. 0 for 3 a game ago against Purdue. He's someone when he gets hot, Central. See DeLeo hit that one early. 0 for 3 a game ago against Purdue. He's someone when he gets hot, Central Michigan's at their most dangerous.
Grant, no good from 3, and Central Michigan controls again. Devontae Lane nearly loses it. Lane pulls from 3, and he hits. Devontae down low, shooting 29% from behind the arc this year, but his bread and butter is in the paint.
Only his third 3 of this season. Someone who really gets in the lane, like you said, Riley, and dishes that basketball out. But he can score in a plethora of ways as well.
Step back 2, no good. That shot from Sibande, but the rebound and the putback.
You said, Riley, and dishes that basketball out. But he can score in a plethora of ways as well.
Step back 2, no good. That shot from Sibande, but the rebound and the putback. Those are the first points for Delonte Brown, the 6'7" forward.
And 6'7" may not seem extremely tall to many basketball aficionados, but in this game it is. Not a lot of height between these two teams.
And Brown,
extremely tall to many basketball aficionados, but in this game it is. Not a lot of height between these two teams.
And Brown pulls down the rebound. Eli, you and I were talking about this before we came out on air. Tallest player for each team, both standing at 6'8". These teams.
Under head coach Keno Davis, when he has height on the team, he doesn't often use it. If you guys remember a year ago, Innocent Nwako, the 7-footer on the team, he's no longer with Central Michigan. But guys like David DeLeo, Rob Montgomery are the tallest on this team.
McKay wide open, too strong, gets his own rebound, and that's what he does best, cutting to the rim.
Guys like David DeLeo, Rob Montgomery are the tallest on this team.
McKay wide open, too strong, gets his own rebound, and that's what he does best, cutting to the rim, and that's what he does best, cutting to the rim, and he gets it to fall. And there's a turnover off. And there's a turnover off the inbound. Kevin McKay, a friendly bounce, and lead.
Back-to-back finishes from McKay, using that body control, a delicate, nice finish around the rim. When he gets in the paint, he's tough to stop.
Day-Day Grant from 3, it's no good.
Delicate, nice finish around the rim. when he gets in the paint, he's tough to stop.
Day Grant from 3, it's no good. Excuse me, Nike Sabandi was off on that three-pointer. Trevon Broadway Jr. pulls from 3.
Love to move in transition. And then also with Miami, the biggest thing for them, spreading that wealth. Just a game ago, they had 7 different players in double figures, and that's when the Redhawks are at their best.
So Miami trying to gain some traction. Haven't been able to do much on the offensive side. Shooting 2 for 5 from the floor since the start of this game. Sabandi drives. There's a 3 ball of their own. Trying to get back some of those long shots. And it's not there. A foul called. So quickly off the bench, Deshaun Winston, who's been this primary backup point guard for the Central Michigan team this year. Very serviceable off the bench. Speaking of serviceable, there's Kevin McKay getting to the rim once again.
And Miami's going to have to be careful. McKay looks like he's in his rhythm early on, and in most cases, when Central gets McKay going early, it ends up with a W.
A lot of facilitating around the perimeter for the Redhawks. Haven't seen a ton of penetration so far.
A lot of it because of that nice perimeter defense Central Michigan's been putting on so far.
Jovic from the baseline.
A lot of it because of that nice perimeter defense Central Michigan's been putting on so far.
Jovic from the baseline gets his pass picked off. Trevon Broadway with some strong steps and a gentle.
And that's exactly why Central Michigan loves Trevon Broadway Jr. His defensive ability, getting into those passing lanes, and also he's not bad around the rim either.
Last 2.5 minutes, an 11-0 Central Michigan run, really separating themselves here in the first quarter. Sabandi stopped hard. Double team down low. The jumper from the free throw line is good. It goes to Myjai White.
And Riley, we've already talked about how small Central Michigan both teams are, really. You just saw a positive on the defensive end, even though Miami scored. David DeLeo, your tallest player, able to stay in front of Miami's quickest player, Nike Sabandi.
Deshaun Winston, pull up from mid-range. No good. Romello Burrell tried to swoop.
Miami's quickest player, Nike Sabandi.
Deshaun Winston, pull up from mid-range. No good. Romello Burrell tried to swoop in and collect that rebound. Day Grant, right block. Off glass.
And watch how careful Miami is with their pace. Central Michigan, like we've said, a team that likes to run. Miami, if they want to win this basketball game, they may want to slow things down a bit. Thus them dropping back into this half-court man-to-man defense.
Kevin McKay hit hard. He had a season after being hired in April of 2017, trying to turn this program around.
And it was a phenomenal hire, as Owens has experience in the Big Ten, was a part of Matt Painter's staff for quite a while, worked with a lot of NBA talent, and he's perfect to take over a program here in the MAC.
Rob Montgomery hit the 3 for Central Michigan, and now Miami trying to get it back, but here's the press from Central Michigan.
And I love the way Central, once that press is broken, they still keep the pressure on in the half court, not letting those guys breathe along the perimeter.
Sabandi, nice hop step, and gets it to fall. Looks like he might have thought about pulling up from 3, but chose to get right to the basket. And quickly, it's Devontae Lane.
215. Whether he's going to be guarded by Sabandi or Larry, they're both at least under 200 pounds. They're 20 pounds lighter than him. He can get to the lane with ease, as he just showed right there.
Odd inbound pass that goes off the backboard for Central Michigan, and Miami has a chance to get some points back. But it won't happen. Devontae Lane gets the backboard for Central Michigan, and Miami has a chance to get some points back. But it won't happen. Devontae Lane gets the rebound. Lane mentioned he did not start in the previous game against Purdue, but he's making up for it. Gets the rebound. Lane mentioned he did not start in the previous game against Purdue, but he's making up for it.
First time this year he's had multiple threes within a game. Devontae Lane, if he can hit from outside consistently, that makes him that much more dangerous.
And the oop put in by Delonte Brown. Central Michigan still ahead, 25-12. And Lane, really known as a passer on this team, came into this game with 52 assists. As Montgomery tries to hit another three.
Evan, he's someone who is pesky around the rim, getting those offensive boards. And even when he doesn't get them, he causes a foul.
Montgomery wide open for three, no good.
Those offensive boards. And even when he doesn't get them, he causes a foul.
Montgomery wide open for three, no good. Larry from three, hits it. Hits it. Those three balls is what's really going to get Miami back into this game, shooting about 33% as a team. This team's able to put up some points. And Devontae Lane catching.
Miami knew Lane had that three-point ability. To be honest, I don't even know we knew that, Riley, as he's someone who usually loves to pass the basketball like you said, but off to a hot start offensively.
He's 3 for 3 from outside, leading scorer for CMU with 9 points. And go to the beginning of that away streak for the Chippewas.
And that's one thing that's kind of different about the Chippewas this year. They've had to face teams like a DePaul, Valpo, and they also have been to Texas, and they've performed in some of those games. They even led at half at Texas at one point, but just couldn't come out with the win.
There's 3 or 4 games that really stick out on that schedule for Central Michigan: at Minnesota, at DePaul, at Texas, and at Purdue. All tough games, especially on the road.
And most of those games, like I said, they had good showings. The win didn't go their way. A couple of those, like Minnesota, definitely, they weren't happy with the way they played. But overall, a good experience with those tough games.
Ball fought for.
Go their way. A couple of those, like Minnesota, definitely, they weren't happy with the way they played. But overall, a good experience with those tough games.
Ball fought for.
No, especially over this small Christmas break. Not a ton going on here in Mount Pleasant. But along with the basketball team, a lot of people happy these guys are back in McGurk Arena.
Dallas Morgan from mid-range. It's short, but DeLeo with those long arms snags a rebound. Dallas Morgan from mid-range. It's short, but DeLeo with those long arms snags a rebound. Dallas Morgan from mid-range. It's short, but DeLeo with those long arms snags a rebound. Morgan from three. Too strong.
To reach right over. DeLeo did it just a moment ago, no call, but Montgomery's got to be careful, especially on those smaller guys trying to block out. You can tell Central Michigan around the perimeter, reason why they're so successful, they switch everything.
Day-Day Grant follows his shot, puts up a floater that DeLeo.
You can tell Central Michigan around the perimeter, reason why they're so successful, they switch everything.
Day-Day Grant follows his shot, puts up a floater that DeLeo brings down. Central Michigan flying up and down the court, not giving Miami much time to get back. Montgomery wide open for three again. He pulls. It's too strong. Montgomery wide open for three again. He pulls. It's too strong.
Even though that didn't fall, surprised how wide open that look was for Montgomery. Central Michigan 6 for 10 to start from the three-point line. Now they've moved to 6 to 13.
And Kevin McKay comes blindside
from the three-point line. Now they've moved to 6 to 13.
And Kevin McKay comes blindside at McNamara and pulls the ball away. Morgan fadeaway two, and it rolls out.
That moves him to 1 for 4 on the day. And the struggles from the field continue for Dallas.
After an 11-0 spurt to start this game, it's been a 1.5-minute scoreless streak for Central Michigan, and not a ton of scoring going on here in the last few. 11-0 spurt to start this game. It's been a 1.5-minute scoreless streak for Central Michigan, and not a ton of scoring going on here in the last few minutes. Nice dish down low, and Rob Montgomery, who looked like he was going to out of that timeout, now 6 for 13. Montgomery misses the... So Montgomery misses both, and their team can seem to get the ball through the basket.
Riley, you mentioned the struggles, the recent struggles from behind the three-point line for Central Michigan. Corey Redmond checks in. He's someone who's a dead eye from behind the three-point line. Keno realizing that he wants that hot streak to continue.
There's only about a 20-second difference between both teams in terms of their last score, except there, it'll be Coleman Lands, a 6-foot guard out of Indianapolis.
Coleman Lamb's usually just a 26% shooter from behind the three-point line, but no hesitation on that attempt.
Deshaun Winston tries to get his own rebounds and...
Everybody. Central Michigan, I mentioned it once, they have the capability. Everyone on the floor can guard 1 through 5, and that's tough to try and score against.
Miami has not been able to get much penetration inside. Still just 2 for 6 from deep, but it hasn't been easy to try to do anything offensively.
You see right here that screen. Usually when they take it, Hamlet would have switched over, but a nice play not to use that screen.
Well, Coleman Lands lucky.
You see right here that screen. Usually when they take it, Hamlet would have switched over, but a nice play not to use that screen.
Well, Coleman Lands lucky he just hit the backboard on that shot, as Winston with the nice steps inside. And Winston converts the and one. Personal. Day-Day Grant takes a seat on the bench, and Nike Sabandi comes back in for the Redhawks.
Surprised to see Central Michigan shine away from the full court pressure they used early in this first half. We haven't seen it since about the 10-minute mark. And that was when Central had their biggest lead of the game.
Coleman Lands, and that's Brewer from outside, and he gets it. 6'5" forward, sophomore, also out of Indianapolis, gets it to fall.
And now both teams totally flip-flopping from behind the three-point line. Central Michigan can't seem to hit, and now Miami, they can't miss.
And there's Kevin Hamlet with the pump fake.
At this point so far, Dallas, one of the best scorers on this Chippewa team, 1 for 4 in this game.
Since that 6 for 10 mark, we also haven't seen Devontae Lane take a shot for Central Michigan. So Miami trying to put together a good streak here to end the half, and look at the big man work down low. So Miami trying to put together a good streak here to end the half, and look at the big man work down low. Together a good streak here to end the half, and look at the big man work down low. That's a lot of size. 6'8" forward Bam Bowman, who nearly got the putback.
Bowman cannot afford to miss those when he gets that deep within the paint and he has that big of a weight advantage.
Bounce.
And usually when you talk about a team like Central Michigan, who in their starting lineup, their tallest guy just 6'8", they usually get killed on the boards, but not this team. As you saw right there, it's Burrell, Montgomery, numerous Chippewas willing to hustle for the basketball in those loose balls.
McNamara, turnaround, 2, no good. Nice post move. McNamara, turnaround, 2, no good. Nice post move there, just couldn't get the shot to fall.
Almost got a push off on that last one.
Quick trigger, too strong on the 3. Post move there, just couldn't get the shot to fall.
Almost got a push off on that last one.
Quick trigger, too strong on the 3. Post move there, just couldn't get the shot to fall.
Almost got a push off on that last one.
Quick trigger, too strong on the 3. And these shots just not falling for either team, as finally Montgomery is fouled. Too strong on the 3. And these shots just not falling for either team, as finally Montgomery is fouled this game. Biggest lead was at the 15-minute mark of this first half. 52 in Mid-American Conference openers in their program's history.
But just a year ago, Central Michigan, they got that win over there in Ohio, 84-77 at Miami. But these two teams used to seeing each other this early within MAC play.
Especially as of recently, but this is the 8th all-time meeting for a conference opener between Miami and Central Michigan. It's a 4-3 Miami lead, but you did mention CMU got that game last year in Oxford. It was an 84-77 victory for the Chippewas. A lot of work down low by Romello Burrell, but it would not be denied, and Precious Aya goes up for two.
And Riley, it's interesting that both these teams face off against one another again because they both have similar paths, or I should say predictions, as they're both picked to finish fourth in their divisions within the MAC. As both these teams, this start to this MAC season, crucial.
And there's that pass from Devontae Lane. We talked about his abilities. He finds it down low, and Dallas Morgan gets him the assist.
Lane got lost on the defensive end.
He got lost, and it ends up Sabandi, who's been putting up some good numbers this year for the Redhawks, averaging 14 points, which leads this team, but also grabs 5.5 rebounds. Pass to Dallas Morgan, slap.
But the Central Michigan team, they've had some recent success against the Redhawks, as we mentioned the win last year, and off to a good start already today.
Trevon Broadway, some long strides in the paint. Can't get it to go down.
That Central Michigan isn't used to seeing a ton.
Free throw line jumper. Sinks it in. It's Makai Larry who is good. So as Eli mentioned earlier, here's Deshaun Winston. Got his first start for the Central Michigan squad at Purdue as he gets caught with an offers
like a Trevon Broadway. Deshaun Winston at the line right now. They feel that fourth place prediction is almost disrespectful. Miami has a deceptive schedule. If you look down the list, not a lot of names jump out at you other than that Louisville name you mentioned. Played some tough teams. You've mentioned Evansville, Wright State, a couple different squads they had to go face that are very good basketball programs.
DeLeo gets a hand on the inbound but can't track it down.
We see Central go back to that full court pressure, something I've been waiting to see because I feel that's where they get most of their defensive success.
Just about 4 minutes left in this first half, and it's just a 7-point game. Central Michigan led by as much as 15 in this first half. There's a three ball, and Kevin McKay made contact with that. 15 in this first half. There's a three ball, and Kevin McKay made contact with that.
McKay almost has to be careful. That one almost called a foul as he got part of the hand.
The pump fake by Morgan leads to an air ball that rolls out.
McKay almost has to be careful. That one almost called a foul as he got part of the hand.
The pump fake by Morgan leads to an air ball that rolls out.
They scored a total of 8 points off of those 5 from the Redhawks, Riley. And that's a big reason why. Even though their shooting percentage, the Chippewas.
So Montgomery continues to shoot free throws. And he hits both of those. So David DeLeo has just been menacing.
Full court pressure from Central Michigan usually has so much success. Something as simple as inbounding the basketball becomes difficult.
So they press it first, but get back. And the Redhawks trying to bring this a little bit closer as they go into the locker room. Just under 4 minutes left to play. Sabandi around the arc. Shot clock under 10. It rolls off. And unfortunately for Central, shot clock under 10. It rolls off. And unfortunately for Central, shot clock under 10. It rolls off. And unfortunately for Central Michigan, it just rolls off of McKay.
Lane with those active hands almost got himself a steal, going right back at it. And now Miami just 7 seconds to shoot the basketball.
And Sabandi was blocked that time, and a fight for it on the floor.
Oh, Miami just 7 seconds to shoot the basketball.
And Sabandi was blocked that time, and a fight for it on the floor.
You can see how annoying he is to guard on the offensive end. Now also defensively, he's also tough to go against.
Help side defense from Central Michigan is been very active this afternoon. A few swing passes.
DeLeo got away with a walk there on that right side, getting a little bit of happy feet when he pumps fakes.
And McKay is rejected, that time by McNamara. So the ball movement there on Central Michigan's end does not pay off. Deep shot, no good from Sabandi. End does not pay off. Deep shot, no good from Sabandi.
It's another possession for Miami where they're just trying to use screens to create mismatches on the offensive end, but it hasn't been able to produce.
DeLeo leaves it short. Here comes Day-Day Grant. Freshman guard standing at 6'2" out of Lorain, Ohio. It's been running point for most of this game for the Redhawks.
I see they'll send McNamara up to set a screen. They want that mismatch. Montgomery on the much smaller offensive player.
And the shot with McKay in his
player.
And the shot with McKay in his face, strained by Nike Sabandi. And you can see why he is so special to this Redhawks team. Putting up 14 points per game, also snagging 5.5 rebounds, and getting conference.
And over this 5-game span coming up, we're going to learn a lot about this Central Michigan ball club as they'll have to start winning games on the road, something they haven't done so far. 0 for 6.
Elbow jumper from Montgomery, no good.
Games on the road, something they haven't done so far. 0 for 6.
Elbow jumper from Montgomery, no good. Central Michigan has gone scoreless in the last 2 minutes and 15 seconds. And there's another three for Sabandi. 4 points. Actually marked that as a 2.
Oh, as they change it to a 2, he has a 10, and now we got a turn. I'm going to be interested to see if they want to look back at that one. I was almost sure it was a 3, but Central will take the 2. And now look at the defensive pressure on that last possession from Miami. They've picked it up quite a bit as they started this game very lax on the defensive side.
It's Sabandi driving, and he's rejected by McKay.
Started this game very lax on the defensive side.
It's Sabandi driving, and he's rejected by McKay. And McKay with a Euro step, and he's swatted, and it's recovered by the Redhawks. And McKay with a Euro step, and he's swatted, and it's recovered by the Redhawks. Sabandi does it again, but too strong. McKay with the rebound and pushing. Sabandi does it again, but too strong. McKay with the rebound and pushing the tempo. Here's Broadway Jr., Devontae Lane, who gets it to roll in. That ends seconds.
Got to give credit to Central. After getting blocked at the rim, not afraid. Devontae Lane going right back at it, finishing with the left. That's a tough thing to do, especially off the glass, using your offhand.
That makes Central Michigan just 2 for their last 11 shots attempted. Devontae Lane with open court steal. Devontae Lane with open court steal. And he gets it to roll. Using his weight down, and he gets it to roll. Using his weight down low. He was frustrated from that foul or that turnover on him earlier. And he's really turned it into positive energy as with 2 seconds left, a deep lead is Miami will start out with the ball. Riley Edwards alongside Eli Tout here in Mount Pleasant, bringing you this 2020 Mid-American Conference opener between Miami and Central Michigan. As David DeLeo using those arms to his conference opener between Miami and Central Michigan. As David DeLeo using those arms to his advantage on defense. And Devontae Lane moving inside. Haven't seen him go down there a ton. Defense. And Devontae Lane moving inside. Haven't seen him go down there a ton this afternoon. But when he has, it's really been a tough job to handle.
Especially all season long, that's been his bread and butter, getting to the basket, trying to finish. Today, like we said, is from behind the three-point line, but another good look from him.
And the putback down low.
To the basket, trying to finish. Today, like we said, is from behind the three-point line, but another good look from him.
And the putback down low. And the putback down low. That's Delonte Brown, who just lays it in off glass.
And that's only their second chance bucket for Miami. They haven't really been able to have any success on the offensive boards. That's a big reason why they struggled in that first half.
We talked a little bit this afternoon about head coach Keno Davis from Central Michigan. It is get the fans here inside McGurk Arena a win in this conference opener. And a very odd turnover. A win in this conference opener. And a very odd turnover there that leads to a fast break in Miami points.
A little bit of a sloppy offense. Hands of Devontae Lane. Didn't love the quality of the looks. And then, Riley, you just said it, a different type of turnover. Miami really has picked up their defensive intensity. As you see, they're coming to guard out behind that three-point line.
And a deep three from Dallas Morgan.
Just as I was applauding them from guarding that three-point line, Morgan gets his first three of the ball game. Something Central Michigan loves to see. He now has 7.
Had some conversations about the broadcaster's curse on our ESPN broadcast before. Not a believer.
Well, definitely right there. Those are moments that at least make you second guess.
Maybe you. But Devontae Lane going hard for the ball.
Right there. Those are moments that at least make you second guess.
Maybe you. But Devontae Lane going hard for the ball.
Hasn't gone to him a ton down low. He has the weight advantage just about on everyone on the CMU roster. Someone who only averages 8 points a game. He really hasn't had an impact on today's ball game. 0 for 2 from the field, just 4 rebounds. He's someone the Redhawks could really benefit if he got going.
Dallas Morgan with a floater. It's sweet. Floater. It's sweet. So Central Michigan up to a 6-point lead. This is kind of where they've been stuck in these last few minutes.
And that's exactly what that...
To a 6-point lead. This is kind of where they've been stuck in these last few minutes.
And that's exactly what that full court pressure does. If you can't get the steal yourself, it'll speed up a team like Miami and force them to cause some unforced turnovers like you just saw right there.
DeLeo with the jump stop, and he uses the backboard.
And even though he got the bucket there, you got to give hats off to Delonte Brown, guarding David DeLeo pretty much all day long, and he's done a pretty solid job staying in front of him. Even that make right there, heavily contested. DeLeo just now has 5.
And nearly another steal for Central Michigan. They're jumping into every passing lane that Miami's trying to enter. Day-Day Grant off with the 3. Here comes Dallas trying to enter. Day-Day Grant off with the 3. Here comes Dallas Morgan. Another deep 3. And when Dallas Morgan hits his...
The past 2 games we're carrying over in today's ball game. Had 5 turnovers a game ago, has been really struggling, but now look at him now. He's 3 for 3 in the second half, a pair of triples, and already has 12 points. As he's someone that Miami has got to keep their eye on if they don't want this to get out of hand.
Straight to the rack from Nike Sabandi. Gets his rebound and puts it back up.
And if they don't want this to get out of hand.
Straight to the rack from Nike Sabandi. Gets his rebound and puts it back up. Gets his rebound and puts it back up.
As I believe that was Larry, also did a nice job selling it with that head fake.
Winston with just 5 points and 1 for 3 shooting so far for the Chippewas. It's been a 10-2 run to start this second half for CMU.
Miami, they're struggling to score. 1 for their last 4 to start this second.
Sabandi pulls up, but the Redhawks get their own rebounds. Another 3 attempts. This one nothing but net.
1 for their last 4 to start this second.
Sabandi pulls up, but the Redhawks get their own rebounds. Another 3 attempts. This one nothing but net. This one nothing but net. Makai Larry out of Evansville, Indiana, Stands at just 5'8". One of the shortest players on the court right now.
And even though he's so short, he has the ability to put the ball in the basket with ease. Still hasn't missed to this point. He's someone who I'm surprised hasn't shot the ball more. Just
couldn't be happier to bring you this game this afternoon. It's both teams trying to find some consistency on the offensive end. Haven't seen a ton from Kevin McKay as of late, but he uses his post moves and steps through down low.
Early 6 points in that first half. McKay finally getting a bucket here in the second. He's not someone, when he had that one-on-one look against a defender like Delonte Brown, you're real excited to see, but still very crafty around the rim.
A quick three-point attempt that drops. Quick three-point attempt that drops. Isaiah Coleman lands, and that's a big three-pointer for the Redhawks. Trevon Broadway Jr. tried to get it right back.
Shooter, still not a look that I think Keno Davis is going to want to continue to see.
That foul, by the way, marked on Romello Burrell, his second personal of the afternoon. Sabandi tries to get it.
A moment too late. Isaiah Coleman lands, was wide open on the block, and he thought he wasn't going to get it after a moment, looked away. And now Miami doing it on the defensive end. Block, and he thought he wasn't going to get it after a moment, looked away. And now Miami doing it on the defensive end.
And there's one of the very few turnovers for Central Michigan, but Kevin McKay got back, played some great defense.
And now Miami doing it on the defensive end.
And there's one of the very few turnovers for Central Michigan, but Kevin McKay got back, played some great defense. But what length right there from Delonte Brown to put it up, get his own, and put it back in.
Delonte Brown, kind of a Swiss Army knife, can do everything on the defensive end, finish on the offensive end as well. There he gets a putback. Second chance points. You could tell Miami had a conversation about that at halftime.
Broadway Jr. from three again, and it just rattles out. He's getting frustrated at those shots.
Halftime.
Broadway Jr. from three again, and it just rattles out. He's getting frustrated that those shots aren't falling.
See, that one, even though it's just as early in the shot clock, I can live with. A little bit more in rhythm, wide open, in and out, a better. That possession right there, not exactly what head coach Jack Owens is looking for.
Just a three-point game. Miami hasn't had a lead at all in this game, and David DeLeo went.
Glad to see DeLeo pop up so quickly and at least be able to walk it off.
Makes a free throw. DeLeo, an 88% free throw shooter, and he gets both of these to fall. So that's good to see. Back comes Mekhi Larry.
It's now Central defensively, a little bit of a zone defense as they're trying to guard that perimeter. One of the first looks at a zone, excuse me.
Nearly a travel. And Miami cannot find an open shot, and it's taken away. And Miami cannot find an open shot, and it's taken away. Pushing the tempo, and Broadway Jr. will just pass it off. Trying to go up strong, but there comes Kevin McKay for the tip. Broadway Jr. will just pass it off. Trying to go up strong, but there comes Kevin McKay for the tip.
Better defensive to offensive possession to define this CMU basketball team. Active hands on the defensive end from Montgomery, poking it away. And then McKay, one of the best finishers around the rim, capping things off.
And there's a trying themselves back into position to maybe even pull out this game at the end. Very competitive game through the first half and the beginning of the second half. Kevin Hamlet in the corner saves a turnover.
DeLeo in the corner's got quite a height advantage. Guarded by the 6'1" Coleman lands, and he's 6'8".
The spin from Central Michigan pushing closer to a double-digit lead. And there's a steal by Kevin McKay that he couldn't quite secure, and the Redhawks can take a deep breath.
This zone defensive look, looking real good so far for CMU. The active hands continue to be an issue.
And McKay breath.
This zone defensive look, looking real good so far for CMU. The active hands continue to be an issue.
And McKay's name may sound like a broken record. And Dallas Morgan with the fake pass down.
That's one thing he's worked on in the offseason. Last year it was all from three for the most part for Morgan, but he's really worked on his ability to drive, finish. We've seen a couple floaters. You said it right there, the fake pass off the glass. He can score in a plethora of ways. It's real impressive.
A three hit there by the Redhawks, and that was much needed. Dallas Morgan, long three and nothing but net. You can tell when he's feeling it. To start the second half with a few threes, he makes a spectacular play with that, with basically just showing the Redhawks the ball, and then he comes back up the court, hits a deep three.
And those threes, even though they're worth the same as every other three, it puts so much towards the momentum for Central Michigan. It's something that you really cannot see the value of it on the scoreboard.
And a lay-in that time. By Day-Day Grant split the defense. DeLeo pulls up, gets his own rebound, and was looking for the end one. DeLeo pulls up, gets his own rebound, and was looking for the end one.
Now Central is shooting at a much better clip when they get those turnovers. 60% from the three-point line so far for the Chippewas.
David DeLeo continues to knock down free throws. Mentioned he came in shooting 88%, and he misses the second. He came in shooting 88%, and he misses the second. Very important possession here for the Redhawks. And another pass out.
Eventually going to be a turnover, especially because that errant pass was going to find no Redhawk. Bondy has had a very quiet second, considering how hot he was in the first. Miami's got to get something going on the offensive end.
DeLeo pulls up from deep, tries to get his own rebound, but Montgomery's there, and he can't get it in either.
First, Miami's got to get something going on the offensive end.
DeLeo pulls up from deep, tries to get his own rebound, but Montgomery's there, and he can't get it in either. Those turnovers for Miami, already 7 in this second half. They've doubled their total of turnovers since the first.
And as you get a look at them on the offensive end here, that's exactly what they want. Off-ball screens can create wide-open shots, whether it be down low. That's one thing they could not do against that zone defense, is use screens to get open.
Trevon Broadway Jr. wanted to push off. That time for Sabandi, didn't get it. Lane has been somewhat quiet in this second half. Ended the first half at a very strong note, as Lane goes
him in front of them.
Lane, a 76% free throw shooter.
David DeLeo, someone you really count on to score the basketball, only has 8 points. It's nice seeing guys like Devontae Lane stepping up on the score. Morgan's really came alive. He has 17. They're really picking up, even though DeLeo has had a quiet game so far.
And nearly another steal by Montgomery. And there's one too many steps.
Been non-existent here in the second half. He's had a quiet start in there on that possession. It was very clear, just trying to force himself to get into the lane. It took way too many steps.
Broadway Jr. hits from 3.
Riley, I can't remember a game where Trevon Broadway Jr. has been shooting this many threes from behind the three-point line, and he's doing it with no hesitation. He's getting real comfortable.
A tough shot put up.
And he's doing it with no hesitation. He's getting real comfortable.
A tough shot put up on the offensive end, pushing the tempo, and the pass just flies out of bounds.
Ago, he was very frustrated with his teammate Devontae Lane that he didn't have his eyes up.
Not a ton of penetration from Miami. Still working the perimeter. The 3 ball, no good. And Trevon Broadway, ton of penetration from Miami. Still working the perimeter. The 3 ball, no good. And Trevon Broadway.
If there's anyone around him, maybe Central Michigan needs to watch some of his tape.
We've talked about the non-conference schedule for both of these teams and really how tough it is. Central Michigan is really just look at their last road trip between Texas and Purdue. Robert Morris, who was a tournament team last year. Then you look at Miami with Louisville, a tournament team last year. Then you look at Miami with Louisville, Evansville, who took down a #1 seed this year. These teams are getting themselves ready for conference play. But through all of that, only one non-conference opponent has been the same on both of their schedules, and that is one of the lowest-ranked teams in the nation in D1, Mississippi Valley State.
You saw against Mississippi Valley State, Central had a great day. Miami, not so much, but that's an opponent where they both got the win, and I'm sure they're just happy to get the W. Miami, not so much, but that's an opponent where they both got the win, and I'm sure they're just happy to get the W.
Well, Mississippi Valley State came here to McGurk after they lost to Utah by about 90 points. Well, Mississippi Valley State came here to McGurk after they lost to Utah by about 90 points. Well, Mississippi Valley State came here to McGurk after they lost to Utah by about 90 points. And there's a shot that goes down for the Rips. And they're keeping themselves in this thing. That brings it back to 9 points.
As they now lead with more second chance points than Central Michigan, as they've done a better job on the offensive boards and also finishing, taking advantage of those extra opportunities.
Another three for Broadway Jr. and another made.
Possessions for Central Michigan. Trevon Broadway Jr., a solid three-point shooter, was left wide open. The Redhawks cannot afford to do that. Two more of those possessions, this game could virtually be over.
And this defense has been menacing from Central Michigan. But a perfect entry pass that Deshaun Winston is there to menacing from Central Michigan. But a perfect entry pass that Deshaun Winston is there to swat away.
And Riley, just as you said, that defense, the active hands poking it away. Central Michigan already today, 9 steals. You can make that 10 after that one.
Broadway Jr. hanging out behind the arc again. A lot of movement from the CMU offense. Broadway Jr. off right, but there's Romello Burrell who loses offense. Broadway Jr. off right, but there's Romello Burrell who loses it. Day-Day Grant with the floater, and a good decision as he pulled up with the...
Got to be careful. They're a ball club, especially under Keno Davis, that has been known to sometimes fall in love a little bit too much with the three. They get hot and then start to force. That was maybe one I could have lived with Broadway Jr. passing up last possession.
DeLeo from deep, and he hits. Haven't seen him capitalize. He's now 2 for 5 from outside.
It's guys like that that make it so easy to fall in love with that three-point shot. But now on the defensive end, CMU, a couple more stops. This 13-point lead can get a lot bigger.
11 points for DeLeo on the afternoon, and Kevin McKay.
DeLeo, they called it on, and you saw it right there, Riley. DeLeo, I thought maybe he got him from behind, but after
his first attempts of this game. He splits the pair. He splits the pair. Here comes the Central Michigan offense. We talked a little bit about where these teams are projected to be in terms of the conference. Both finishing 4th on their respective sides. The East for Miami, the West for Central Michigan. Last year, Miami, they finished 5th with a 7-11 conference record as Dallas Morgan pulls up from the sea. There's no denying him from wherever he pulls up.
That takes so much moxie just to attempt that three-point shot from a different area code. But Morgan, you know he's got the green light.
And the green light given him area as well. He knocks down a triple of his own. You were talking about broadcaster curses earlier.
Yes, sir.
That's a little bit of the opposite way. When he's crossing midcourt on the back of the C and I start a story and he pulls up.
You're right. There definitely has been some cases to support your case that there is no curse.
Oh, a nice baseline pass, and Burrell makes himself some room. Gets the rebound, goes up again, makes contact. And
case that there is no curse.
Oh, a nice baseline pass, and Burrell makes himself some room. Gets the rebound, goes up again, makes contact. And
is astonishing with his height, weight, athletic ability. He just has the basketball knowledge and skill to be so talented.
Last year was Miami finishing 5th with a 7-11 conference record. For CMU, they took second place in the West with an 8-11 conference record. Excuse me, 10-8 conference record. And both teams think they can do place in the West with an 8-11 conference record. Excuse me, 10-8 conference record. And both teams think they can do much better than what the projections say. And it's a very competitive game with really a few three-pointers falling CMU's way.
Once again, this is the second time I'm going to have to mention David DeLeo has an 8-inch advantage on his defender. Surprised CMU never looked at him down low.
And the ball.
Advantage on his defender. Surprised CMU never looked at him down low.
And the ball.
A couple of threes. Add some free throws to that. A plethora of players doing it for CMU. A big reason why they're so hard to guard on that offensive end.
And that
his arms up in the air. We saw a flop warning in the first half. I always thought where offensive players put that much into.
There's been a few flop warnings.
So that's something the NCAA has made a case. They want to be a NBA, college basketball. They're all trying to fix it.
It inbound.
College basketball. They're all trying to fix it.
It inbound steal from Miami, and they get confused.
They're all trying to fix it.
It inbound steal from Miami, and they get confused. A few players going for the ball. Devontae Lane has it roll around every inch, but he's helped out by confused. A few players going for the ball. Devontae Lane has it roll around every inch, but he's helped out by his good teammate down low, Rob Montgomery.
Of Miami's 16 turnovers, most of them have been just like their last. Unforced, just an absolute error that CMU had nothing to do with. That's a big reason why they're down. They're lucky it's just not double figures.
A pure three hit there by the 6'7" forward Delonte Brown. Looked like he was just shooting around in practice. He was so open.
And now you're getting down to the late part of the game where you start to wonder, this is when CMU wants to start to eat time off that clock. They're already doing it here with this possession, something we're not used to them doing. But you also don't want to start that too early.
And a big size difference down low, and Rob Montgomery.
I appreciate the charge attempt from the much smaller defender, but I think he was much too deep within that restricted zone to try and even take a charge. Smart decision by Montgomery, realizing he's got that height and weight advantage.
David DeLeo, he's 6'8". Into the Redhawks uncomfortable.
As 11 of those 17 turnovers coming off of steals from CMU. Those are all forced as they've looked real good. Devontae Lane almost coming crashing in on the screen. As at this point right now, around 10 seconds is when you want to start attacking if you're CMU.
Dallas Morgan, he drops it from the rafters. Dallas Morgan, he drops it from the rafters. A high arcing shot that goes in. A three back for Miami, too strong, and Lane gets the rebound. And Central Michigan. A three back for Miami, too strong, and Lane gets the rebound. And Central Michigan can take their time, that lead back up to 12. There's a Larry's third foul, Miami's fifth. Under a minute and a half to play. And CMU just trying to drain the clock. Dallas Morgan has helped them out with the three-pointers.
But you can see the height and weight advantage Lane has on his defender right now. Wouldn't be mad if they decided to go ISO, but instead they use McKay.
And McKay going hard. Original shooting foul that happened before the technicals. As he misses the first.
Along that free throw line as a team, 73%. Not bad, but also something that you really can work on to try and improve. But does it as long as you make the important ones like those right there.
Central Michigan out to a 13-point lead. And there's a late jam. For Miami, they stay on the road. They go to Bowling Green next. It looks like they may be a tough team this year. Trying to inbound it with just 57 seconds left. And DeLeo trapped in the corner. And there is a foul eventually.
David DeLeo shoots at a solid clip. Dallas Morgan, Rob Montgomery also definitely not bad from that free throw line.
For Central Michigan, so a lot of good free throw shooters, and DeLeo knocks down both from the strike. And a quick move and a foul called as it was.
No right there. Up 13, under a minute left. You do not want to foul Miami. You want to keep that clock moving at all costs.
Second free throw is good by Lair. Nice night. Or I should say afternoon. 22 points for Sabandi. 8 for 17 from the field and 3 for 6 from deep. As Dallas Morgan just trying to find a place to pass the ball. And Lane gets it and passes it up the court. And it will be McKay who holds on to it, waiting for this clock to tick down. About a 20-second difference between shot clock and game clock. As DeLeo pulls up a deep three and banks it in. Larry pulls up for three and he hits. With 8 seconds left. And Lane steps across half court. And the Chippewas win their conference.